Hello everyone, I'm Charlie Tolhurst and welcome to the Motorsport Mayhem podcast for today, the 11th of March 2026. Yes, hello everyone, welcome to the podcast. I hope you're all having a great day today. I haven't filmed one of these for a while, so I'm going to film it now. And if you haven't watched this show, this will be available on YouTube. Anyway, live on YouTube. If anyone's watching the show, please enjoy it. Because we're going to be reviewing all the latest motorsport news, and I'll also have some on the Tonight Show podcast as well, me and Zach, in the coming days. So, yes, Formula One is what we're going to start the podcast off with. So, yes, guys, last weekend, Formula One took their first race in Australia for the Australian Grand Prix. So, there has been a lot of talk about these new 2026 regulations, the 2026 rules regarding active aero, clipping, super clipping, um, lifting off on straights, downshifting on straights to regain energy. Can I just say as well, guys, the new rules are a joke. They are terrible. The racing, it's not the same as it was before. You're just seeing the end of the pinnacle of motorsport just through downshifting into a corner. The battles being kind of remote control Mario Kart-esque, drivers lifting off, going past each other, not really making any much will-to-will effort. This is what the FIA are great. This is what the FIA are great at doing, ruining the sport. And they have done it again. These regulations need to be scrapped. We need to scrap as well the 50-50 electric power because these engines now run on sustainable fuels. So they're not far off being electrical engines and green engines. It really is Formula E on steroids, I have to say, in a nutshell. But talking of the race, well, it was very interesting about how it panned out. In the end, it was, despite some close battles, it wasn't really my favourite, and I wasn't that keen on the race myself. But in all honesty, the results were as followed: that Mercedes were the quickest team, and George Russell claimed the victory ahead of Andrea Kimi Antonelli, who had a crash in FP3, managed to get his car back fixed again. But the team actually fixed the car up, finished in second. Mercedes got a 1-2. He only finished 2 seconds behind his teammate in the end. But yes, Mercedes with a front row lockout, and clearly, Mercedes were the head of anyone. Charles Leclerc and Lewis Hamilton, the two Ferraris, were third and fourth. Leclerc competing the podium as well. Lando Norris was fifth. McLaren well off the pace in the first round. Norris was like over 50 seconds adrift of George Russell at the end of the checkered flag. McLaren have a lot of answering to do about their 2026 car. Just doesn't look to be as competitive as last season. And they're definitely struggling with reliability, particularly in FP1, where there was a lot of issues for both drivers, Oscar Piastri and Lando Norris. And Piastri unfortunately spun off on the reconnaissance lap to the grid, which was an embarrassing result for Oscar Piastri. He could have become the first Australian driver to win on his home track and qualified ahead of Lando, but in the end, just did not work for him as well. Sixth place went the way of Red Bull's Max Verstappen, the 2024 champion, carrying the number 3 car this year. Verstappen was the last driver to finish on the lead lap, and I have to say, Max crashed out in qualifying after the rear axle on his Red Bull locked up. But Max was absolutely fuming after the race. I heard he had done a burnout in the pit lane behind Arvid Lindblad. I heard there was a bit of a conference. I was say there was a bit of chaos in the pit lane as well. I heard Lindblad and him got into a bit of a war, but Max hates these new rules. There's a reason why he's going to be doing the Nürburgring 24 hours this year. He's been entered in a Mercedes AMG GT3, and well, Max Verstappen, one of the most critical of these new rules. And I agree with Max. It is Formula E on steroids. I agree exactly. These rules are going to kill the sport. F1 is not the same, and we've seen like even Matt Gallagher and Tom Bellingham, the two YouTubers on Matt and Tommy P1. They were saying that F1 isn't the same anymore. You got even the fans are turning on the sport, and now everyone's being censored. I was watching that on one of their YouTube videos, a podcast today, saying that F1's starting to censor people speaking out against the rules. Like watching the broadcast coverage now from Sky F1, it's like, oh man, you have to abide by these new rules, otherwise you get censored. It's crazy. Seventh place went the way of Ollie Behrman in a Haas. A great result for Ollie Behrman, actually. I have to say, a very impressive start for him, getting seventh place, despite not getting into Q3 qualifying. Done very well to finish seventh. albeit a lap down. But he's also another one who's criticised the new regulations, as has Lando Norris as well, the McLaren driver, calling it one of the worst cars he's ever driven. Basically, Ollie Behrman echoed Max Verstappen's comments. He called it Formula E with all this electrical energy deployment, managing a battery. It's the same. It is Formula E, exactly. It's Formula E 2.0 in a nutshell. 8th place went the way of Racing Bull's Arvid Lindblad. Great result for him on his first race. You know, he'd looked really good all weekend. He'd been inside the top 10, particularly in practice. He looked pretty quick, looked quicker than Liam Lawson, definitely. I'll come on to Liam Lawson in a minute. But Lindblad really impressing on his first race in the Racing Bulls there to grab 8th place. Audi got points courtesy of Gabriel Bortoletto, who was definitely quicker than Nico Hulkenberg all weekend, and Pierre Gasly managing to take that Alpine into the points. They didn't look great in qualifying, I have to say. Their car was off the pace. Esteban Ocon was 11th. Albon was 12th. Williams not having a great start to the year. They were struggling with energy deployment in practice and qualifying. Liam Lawson was 13th. Franco Colapinto 14th. There was a very scary accident, scary moment at the start where Franco Colapinto basically had to use his skill and mastery to avoid a very slow start in Liam Lawson. This is what one of the things that Andrea Stella, McLaren team boss, feared with the new regs, is that say someone starts with a flat battery and they can't get off their line because they have their engine and the MG UK doesn't charge the battery up. Basically, as a result, because the battery doesn't kick in until 30 miles an hour, you basically crawl off the line like a pram. And basically, Liam Lawson done that. And Colapinto had absolutely nowhere to go, and it could have been a scary accident. And I believe that these starts have got to be changed. The way that the MG UK now, the fact that you lift Superclip into turn 9 and 10, and Silverstone's going to be a big thing seeing Superclipping. Imagine full throttle Maggots and Beckett's. You know, going through that section down Hanger Straight where you're full throttle and the car's losing speed. That's going to be crazy for the British Grand Prix this year, this super clipping rubbish. For sure. But yes, definitely scary moments at the start there for both Lawson, and Colapinto in the Alpine and the RB there as well. Perez, there was Sainz was second. Perez was 16th and 3 laps down. Not classified. Lance Stroll was 17th. Aston Martin, of course, their car's pretty rubbish anyway. Their Honda engine doesn't seem to be wanting to work all the time. Even though Fernando Alonso did make a great start and got up into the top 10, again, the reliability, questions around the reliability of that Honda engine in the Aston Martin. Retired Bottas broke down, and Isaac Hadjar broke down as well. Surprise as well. A lot of breakdowns over that weekend. Mechanical issues on the Red Bull, forcing Hadjar to not classify, despite qualifying in third on the grid, but only behind the two Mercedes. So Hadjar had a great qualifying, and to be fair, actually outqualified his teammate Max Verstappen. But anyway, the championship, the top 10 will in the points there will lead the championship going into China this weekend, and there is expected to be a change for the rules coming in Japan on the electrical energy, but also as well the Middle Eastern races could also be cancelled due to the current ongoing war in the Middle East between Israel or Iran, Israel and America. There's been a lot of talk about Bahrain and Saudi being cancelled, so all of April might have no racing. But I think the decisions on the World Endurance Championship with Qatar have already seen that race be cancelled, so that won't start till Imola in April. But yes, that's all the latest news from there. Now it's time to move on and do the next one. The next bit of news now is from IndyCar now. They raced at Phoenix, and that one saw Joseph Newgarden claim another oval victory ahead of Carl Kirkwood, David Malukas. Pato Ward was 4th, Marcus Armstrong 5th, Alexander Rossi was 6th, Scott Dixon 7th, Scott McLaughlin 8th, Graham Rahal 9th, Kevin Simpson was 10th. Despite that, though, Alex Palau did not finish that race. It was actually Alex Palau not taking second win in a row. There was plenty of action. There was cautions as well. Mick Schumacher was 18th on his second start in IndyCar as well. But yes, it's certainly an interesting race for sure. And IndyCar will be racing again, not this weekend. They'll be going to Arlington on Sunday for a triple header of IndyCar. My God, triple header like the F1. A street race in Arlington, 70 laps await the drivers in Arlington. Could we see Pato Ward back on? He won, I think, in Toronto last year, so he's got a chance in that one. Then a NASCAR. I haven't watched the NASCAR race, sadly. But but I will go over the results. It wasn't a 3 in a row for Tyler Reddick. Instead, Ryan Blaney took the win. This was at the This was at. Funny enough, this was also actually at the Phoenix Raceway, and it's crazy that NASCAR and IndyCar all got broadcast on the same weekend. It's crazy. In the Cup Series, it was won by Blaney. Christopher Bell was second, Carl Larson third, Ty Gibbs was fourth, Denny Hamlin fifth, Bubba Wallace sixth, William Byron seventh, Reddick actually finished eighth, Michael McDowell ninth, Eric Jones 10th, Shane Van Gisbergen in 11th place. Not as good as his first 2 races, but certainly an improvement on ovals for sure. He's definitely looking better on the ovals. And a second place in COTA certainly helped that as well. But what does that mean for the championship standings? As well. So, yes, Reddick obviously currently is championship standings at the moment. But yes, Reddick leading the championship standings going into the next race. And yes, Reddick certainly will be leading it. He is ahead on 225 points, 165 for Ryan Blaney. Let me just get that up for you now, guys. There it is. Bubba Wallace is third, 153. Chase Elliott fourth. Van Gisbergen is fifth. By the way, guys, there is no... the playoff rules have been changed. The current the chase will begin after race 26, where the top 16 drivers in the points advance to a 10-race championship battle. There is no racing away into the playoffs this year. It's all going to be done on points. So, you know, it's going to be different. We're back to the old chase format. I'm glad that they scrapped the old playoffs. It was never going to work. Reddick obviously still leads after his 3 wins in the first race. And speaking of that, you might be asking when Cup Series race next week. The next race is actually at Texas. Actually, no, it's not at Texas, sorry. It is at Las Vegas Motor Speedway on my birthday on the 15th of March. Pennzoil 400 presented by Jiffy Lube. That will be at Las Vegas Motor Speedway, 4 p.m. Eastern Time in America for that one. So, yes, that one is at 4 p.m. Eastern Time as well. And moving on now, I'm going to do a quick bit of news. Obviously, we've got British Motorsports coming up as well. A quick little feature on this. There is some motorsport action coming up. Brands Hatch have released their calendar of events this year as well, which I'm going to quickly go over for you guys. We also have had testing as well for the GB Freeze today at Donington. Abby Pullin was featured in that today as well. But yes, Brands Hatch obviously have their big events. And also as well, guys, in the British Touring Car Championship, since we've been on, there have been a number of announcements that have been made that I just want to quickly go through right now. And we've seen some big news coming as well from the BTCC, which is that Josh Cook and Max Buxton will be racing at Speedworks this year as well. They'll be driving Toyota Corollas. Adam Morgan and Dan Rowbottom will be driving at Plato Racing as well. That's also confirmed as well. Napa Racing have also announced their lineup. Laser Tools have also announced their cars as well. They'll be running Corollas. And Napa Racing have also announced a 4-car lineup as well. It will see 4-time champion Ash Sutton, title contender Dan Camish, and race winner Sam Osborne, who won at Silverstone last year. All remain with the team, and they'll be joined by debutant Lewis Selby. The 32-year-old who will surpass his 300 race starts in BCC remains contention. That was obviously Ash Sutton, I believe. Lewis Selby, an ex, I think he used to race in the Mini Challenge. So great to see Lewis Selby stepping up to the British Touring Cars. He'll be driving a Ford Focus Saloon that was unveiled the other week at Napa Racing's launch. But Brands Hatch will be celebrating 100 years of motorsports this year. 100 years, Brands Hatch, an iconic circuit in motorsport as well. But we also have some big events over the calendar year as well that I want to go through. You got some club racing at the end in March, but in April we got some big meetings with the 4th and the 5th of April starting off properly the season with the British Truck Racing and TCR Championships. We also have as well in May, the first weekend of May, we have the GT World Challenge Europe, which will be racing at Brands Hatch. We also have the 9th and the 10th of May, which will be rounds 4, 5 and 6 of the Quick Fit British Touring Car Championship. As well in May, we also have as well the iconic Masters Historic Festival at the end of that period as well. And also some other key dates to look out for as well across the year as well. Brands include the American Speed Fest in June, which I will be attending. American Speed Fest will be 6th to 7th of June at Brands Hatch as well. So there's plenty of action throughout the racing at Brands Hatch. Obviously, this June will mark the American Speed Fest Euro NASCAR Series we'll be visiting. And there's also going to be other action as well. Festival Italia, several other events in August as well. And also some family run events as well. Like I said, you've got American Speed Fest, you've got Festival Italia, and you also have GT racing. British GT will be on in September, the same weekend that British touring cars head to Silverstone. So I think it's 25th of September. It's usually that week, the last weekend in September, roughly, when you get to see them all racing as well. And British GT will be in at Silverstone at the end of April to mark the start of their season alongside GB3 and GB4. Wow, guys, that is it all for the Motorsport Mayhem podcast today. Thank you so much for watching. I'm your presenter, Charlie Tolhurst. We'll see you again next time for another edition of the podcast. Take care and goodbye.